It should have been right at the top because I had to send it back to myself. Maybe you hit trash? No, I didn't see trash either. Huh. I don't know where it went. Anybody else, can you do something better with that?
You send it to yourself?
Well, it was just the top one, the one right on top, and it was the picture of the tree when I opened it, but I don't.
search.
Right, what
for
email
that.
address did it come from?
Randy at Highway. See, look at now, I wouldn't know how to do that. That's it.
You're not supposed to.
Yep, that's it. It's a secret.
That's not very important.
We're not in the cloud.
I'm not gonna touch it again.
Yeah, no, don't hand me, almost anytime anybody hands me the phone.
Sending it to.
I mean, there's some pictures that, nah, not exactly.
No.
Are they human?
Betsy,
Yeah.
Betsy, try that.
I've seen them before.
Right there.
It's the same thing.
Bouncing back. Maybe if you click on it, there's a couple of different things on that.
That's the whole thing, I think. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'm gonna continue on, guys. Okay, our street has more children now, and this tree is hazardous to the cars and neighbors crossing. So Randy answered back. There were a couple of other complaints, but this is the one we're concerned about. Good morning. I will ask the supervisor to bring it up to her board to see if they want to pay to have this taken down. The stump will remain though, because its roots go far beneath the paved road, and that would cost tens of thousands of dollars to dig up and repave. A cost not needed for the taxpayers. This is actually on, oh, here, you got it back. That's the tree, this is the tree.
I've seen it.
You can make it bigger, how did you do that? This is the tree right here on the property.
I'm just
line.
gonna stand behind you.
This one.
Don't
There you go.
Yep, this really tall one, it's not dead, okay? And as you can see, here's the road, okay? So it's clearly on private property. The guys went and took a bunch of pictures. and
Now
I'll
we're
show it
getting
to
the crux of it.
The nitty gritty.
Stephanie,
Somehow,
I just want you to
when
see,
a
I can show you
taxpayer
photos on it. This is the
in
tree.
need of a tree taken
Okay,
down.
as you come down around the turn, it's
certain-
actually on their
It's on the
property.
town.
It's a big
it's on the
pine.
town.
Okay.
When
Right,
the
right.
branches in the
West,
storm
where
fell, they actually
90%
fell on
of the
their
time.
property.
Very
You wanna
few,
see
if
it?
anyone knows where the town right away is, but in these cases, it's always the same. Well, it's clearly in the town right away.
And if they don't want one taken,
Oh, same
then it's
thing.
not a.
When we send them down there.
Please,
for-
George mowed for years.
Yeah,
Don't
but,
touch Violet, let's.
but mowing is one thing, but when they would send the guys down there, get the hand lift from Vogel or from Jay or someone, and start cutting trees, whoa, 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 that's my tree. That's what, I think it's out in the right of way, it's in trouble for, so you can't win with trees, is my point.
So, in Randy's opinion and Eddie, the guys took a couple of trips down there, taking pictures, walking around. It is definitely on private property. So do we go and cut this tree down?
No.
Because we don't do it, we have to hire someone to cut this tree down, and it's not on our property. So,
All I'm saying is, the history lesson here is, we're very reluctant, village, county, town, anyone, state is very reluctant to take trees down at the behest of the adjacent landowner, for almost any reason. Most of it's this. We're not sure whether it's, even if it gets on private property, whether it's yours or yours, and it's not our job to arbit that. Well, if we only knew, I suppose, you could get a surveyor and they can tell you. But bringing up kids and dogs and, you know, there's by my Google search, 750 million trees in the town of Lake, but you know what I mean? It's a really slippery slope. If it's that bad, it takes looking at, but throwing all this other stuff in and then just automatically assuming or asserting that it's on the town right away, it's not right.
well, here's another thing that was brought to my attention this morning. When we had the bad snowstorm last week and all the branches were breaking off all the pine trees, you know, around, they're all on their property, they're not in the road. So that kind of is another, it's on their, clearly on their property. So do you think we need a motion for this, or just the board unanimously here is saying no?
I'm not speaking for the board, but I don't think we should, but it certainly is not something that we need to resolve, to make a resolution, because it's a policy thing. The superintendent is the person who would make that call. And he ran it past me because I'm on his committee.
Okay.
But, sure, and then, I looked at it, but I'm not exactly sure of the right of way. But it certainly looks like it's on the people's property. That's why Eddie and those guys were all down there.
Yeah,
What is the right of way? What's the setback?
I don't know on a town road, it's usually 25 feet from the center line.
Yes.
And more on state highways and county and so on, but I'm no lawyer, I'm just saying that in this case, this tree would be one that the town would not just automatically go in and say, yeah, this one's gotta go and take it down, because it looks like it's on Mrs. Murphy's property,
So is it worth the guys taking a ruler and going down and saying,
I think they've already done
I
that,
think
that's
they've
what
done
I'm
it,
saying.
yeah.
They-
They've
they
really done their
visited-
homework.
they visited,
They're
they did their
unanimous in
homework?
the fact that it's not,
Okay.
it's on private property.
So they
It's
didn't
not
have-
our job
they
to
got
tell
the
whose
ruler,
private
okay.
property,
And,
that's for neighbors.
and this all happened before the last snowstorm, so it's not like the snow was, covering up where the lawn ended and where the ditch is and, the
Understood.
road. So they clearly say,
And the people saw them measuring and the whole deal?
But
That I don't
if you can think of that for a second, if you drop a line 25 feet, most of that road is about 9.5, 10 feet, so it's not a lot that we allow ourselves, towns, to be right away, particularly on these sandy, most of that right of way is not, it's not paved,
Is that a steep?
But it's where folks park, and it's where folks cut their driveways in, and it gets very proprietary about, well, I wanna put my driveway, and I want you to do this, and so there's a lot of requests that come in that are just standard, we'd like to, but we can't, because we don't do that sort of thing. And we can't cut this tree, this would be a contract job of $4,000 or $5,000.
okay,
You can base it on the center line of the road, but the center line of the road over the years has changed too.
Yeah,
because the road's gotten wider, Don.
Well, it could be moved.
they move them.
Along the golf course road there's a big argument of what trees are on people's property, and if the road is to the golf course side of the right of way, or, the people, I think if he's gonna press for the town to do it, he's gotta prove that it's on our right of
There
way
you go.
by having a professional
A
survey.
request like this can't be, call the town and somebody will be down there with a truck. It's a precedent that we would be loath to exercise. And just as an aside, that's nothing specifically to do with this tree and this taxpayer, but that stretch of road, for a long time, it was sort of a fight as to whether it should be a town road or not, or whether it's a private drive
Right.
to more developed lakefront lots. These are all sort of slippery slopes that I said, Randy, well, don't say yes to anything, go down there and make sure. It is a big tree, which makes it a big job, but doesn't appear to be a town problem to me.
Okay, so next on Randy's list is a resolution to purchase the groomer. He said he went and spoke with each individual one of you, so I will read the resolution. Town of Lake Pleasant to purchase groomer offered by, whereas the Town of Lake Pleasant will purchase a 2010 Piston Bully groomer from the Town of Inlet. Whereas the Town of Lake Pleasant will purchase the groomer directly from the Town of Inlet at a cost of $67,000. So we're looking for a motion to approve this purchase. Okay, Neil? And we're looking for a second.
I'll second.
Okay,
This is the one we spoke of at the last meeting. And this is just sort of so they can have something in their hand, that we can be assured we're going to get it. If you recall, Randy spoke about this at the last meeting, speaking to the fact that we would not be needing to front that money anytime soon, and in fact, we probably would not be able to take ownership of this until December,
that is correct.
because they're gonna hold on to their quite a nice piece until their newer, bigger one arrives.
Yeah, and this machine, I believe, is like in mint condition. The pictures are unbelievable. And The last roomer we actually bought from them and then sold our older one, which is the intention this time as well. So, as long, well, let's see, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So tomorrow I will, I have to put together a commitment letter and get it off to Inlet so that they can take it to their town board meeting on the 10th to approve, all board members to approve selling it to us. So that's that. So next, I'd like to introduce, everybody know Katrina. Katrina is, she's now in charge of the Chamber of Commerce, and I asked her to come, I stopped to see her last week, and she has some really great ideas, and I just wanted her to share them with everybody and let her know what she's working on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just kind of a update and report. We've got some exciting things coming up that the Chamber is hosting. First up, we've got Community Pride Day, which is happening on the 4th. We have about, I believe, over 50 people participating in that. So that's always kind of a nice way to kick off the season, get things kind of cleaned up and looking nice. Flower barrels will be followed shortly after that. We have a few new sponsors for flower barrels this year, which is nice to see new people kind of rolling in and participating in that program. Then the kind of new event on the ticket is Pacifico Lake Days. So that's a new event that we're going to be holding July 30th in Pacifico. It's going to be part fair, part farmers market, part festival. The plan is to have a lot of the farmers market vendors who come to our farmers market here also head over to Pacifico on July 30th. But
Where will that be?
Pacifico.
Where in Pacifico will that be?
The Pacifico Community Hall.
Community.
Yeah. I was giving you a hard time because I had a lot of social media comments asking where it was going to be, if it was going to be in Lake Pleasant, so.
No, I was
giving
thinking
you a hard time.
the school, the airport.
It's going to be at the community hall, yeah.
So can I just ask, will it be indoors and outdoors?
Yep, the plan is for it to be indoors and outdoors. We're also planning on having a touch a truck event, which I know Donna had tried to get up and going last time around. So the idea behind that is that we have places like volunteer ambulance corps, fire department, all those places come out. They get to bring some of their equipment if they like to. That way it's kind of a family friendly and safe event for the kids to touch all the things, because they love to touch all the things, and also hopefully give those organizations a chance to kind of recruit for new members and spread the word about all of the important stuff that they do. So that'll be part of the event. I'm also hoping that we'll have some other interactive events, some arts and crafts. We're gonna have music there. Luke and Mike will be there. So I'm hopeful that it'll draw a good crowd and hopefully continue to kind of strengthen that Pacifico connection. So we're all looking forward to that one. And beyond that, we're still planning for Beer and Wine Festival, October 1st. So we're hopeful that we can bring that one back. I know that was a big hit the first year that we had it, and then we had to go kind of on a hiatus. So hopefully we'll bring that one back. And then as far as kind of internal chamber things and membership related things, we have our membership dinner coming up on the 26th. So that's going to be at Irondequoit. And we have a new board member, Jen Scanlon, who is also the new owner of Irondequoit. And she really wanted to highlight that Irondequoit is going to be doing tapas this summer. So we're going to be having the membership dinner featuring some of their tapas that they do and doing trivia. It's kind of a different kind of take for the membership dinner this year. And Jen's also going to have some of the rooms opened up. We're going to be giving, she will be giving tours of Irondequoit. So hopefully people will come in and poke around and kind of help spread the word about that being open again and all the great things that they're offering this summer. I've also been working with Roost to get some of our website things up to date on the chamber website. I'm hoping to create a member portal soon for the chamber members, so that if they need an application for farmer's market or, you know, paperwork for X, Y, or Z, they can just log into the member portal, download it themselves right there, and kind of eliminate that third process of me having to mail things. I'm hoping that that will kind of help with our turnaround and be a good tool and resource for them. Also trying to do some other updates with the website so that we can start capturing email addresses. So, you know, if somebody's got a camp here and they're coming in for the summer and they're doing a search on, you know, what's open or businesses that are up and new and coming up, and they get to the chamber website, there's a way to capture that email address so that we can market to them individually. I think that's something that's really going to be helpful in the coming years, especially with social media being kind of up and all over the place. You know, we have great social media engagement, but this is another layer and another level to be able to reach those people who come here year after year individually. So I'm looking forward to that.
Super.
Yeah.
Just one question, the touch a truck thing, are DEC or forest rangers gonna be involved in
I
that?
hope so.
You are, I think
Like
it's
I
really,
was thinking, what about that, with a bucket truck, or do they
Yeah.
ever, I mean, they sure need some positive relations,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, I would love to see that,
Yeah.
yeah. Applications for that are gonna be going out soon. I've got it sent out to all of our members, all of the chamber supporters that I have contacts for. I'm also gonna be creating a poster and putting it around town, looking for vendors and including that. And if anybody knows of anybody or organizations that would like to participate, I'm happy to reach out to those
you
folks.
said you couldn't get a silly thing like the Frontier truck with the bucket, you know, somewhere.
Always call JD.
Yeah.
Just order it.
It's another,
But they parked it there that day.
And that bridge guys are heroes, but only for about a day or so after the power.
that's right, that's right.
Seems to dissipate.
And then they forget about them, yeah.
Trina, did you mention, when does the market, the farmer's market begin?
Farmers Market, I believe, is June 26th or 23rd.
Okay, late June through.
Yeah. I might have gotten that date mixed up with it should be the 23rd.
23rd, okay.
Thursdays.
Membership
Awesome.
dinner is May 26th, Farmers Market is June 23rd.
Super.
Anything else you wanted me to?
No, I just was impressed talking with you in the office the other day, and I thought it would be good if you shared it, and then, you know, it would go in Steffi's minutes and be on our YouTube, so that other folks in the community can hear and possibly, hopefully get involved.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome, all your ideas are really good, and
Thank you.
we appreciate it.
That portal could be very helpful
Absolutely.
for the members.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Thank you.
And I think the Arietta Pacifico thing, I think is a really great idea because it can bring the communities together again, working together with the chamber. I think that's really a positive, great thing, good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Big events have been had out there in the past, and then the events, you know, go away, and then there's nothing to replace them, and before you know it, there's that feeling again that we're you know, ignoring that end of the chamber.
Yeah, and in the last 2 years with COVID, everything has fallen apart, and
Of course.
we just have to kind of pick ourselves up and start moving back, you know, getting back into this and moving on again, you know, we used to do a lot, so. I'm
Yeah.
looking very forward to it.
Yes, me too.
And if there's anything we can do with the town, just give us a holler,
Thank you.
you know, reach out, we'll do whatever we can do as well. So where are we meeting on Wednesday?
So from my understanding, I think it's just you come and pick up your materials, you guys have your materials already. I don't think this year there's a specific meeting spot, that's kind of what I've understood from Donna. I think it's just kind of once you have your gear and your trash bags and everything, you're just kind of welcome to go to whatever areas you think need it or that you would like to clean, and then you.
How's your road?
Needs to be picked up still.
There you go.
Like a being said.
Yeah.
For us.
I will say, I was gonna say this, I didn't know you were coming in
Talking
today.
about this date didn't work for a lot of folks, and I was
No.
just sitting there, hoping he doesn't ask me if we did sign up or not, because I don't
Right.
remember.
You know, I assume the reason that it has morphed to this, since the countywide or regional-wide thing happened before we were doing these on our own
Yeah,
through the snowmobile clubs and others, is because of the school kids. So it automatically then goes to a school day, which automatically takes a whole bunch of folks who used to show up for our cleanup days out. It's unfortunate. I was gonna mention it later in our roundtable thing, but it seems appropriate now. Big section of Route 8, which almost always needs a little attention, our great friend Paul Cleveland.
It's out there
I
today.
stole it from him.
Oh, I'm sorry, you noticed, of course, you
That was
noticed
the
that.
roundtable.
I was all scoped out for what
Paul
section
has-
should the 6th grade do this year, and
Well, years ago, I used to incentivize Paul for this because the inn has a 2-mile stretch. And he has no boundaries, Paul. He'd go way past my thing on this side, way past. He's just, he's very,
He does it all.
very faithful.
And it doesn't hurt to give him an attaboy.
No, absolutely,
He
toot your
lives in
horn.
root beer soda, he loves root beer soda.
I'll never forget, I ordered this expensive root beer, the Saranac, whatever, and I got him a case of this stuff. Oh, okay, great. This is in the town hall. Okay, you couldn't get mug? I'm like, oh man. Charlie John, I'll know next time, well, man's taste is man's taste.
I go to Mountain Market and get him a gift certificate, because he can use it for gas, he can get a sandwich or a pizza, or,
He's,
so
in
just
the spirit of all the
acknowledge
volunteers,
he's
but
great.
it does tip you off on the places you don't necessarily have to go, so.
Yep.
For us, if folks do what they pledge to do on their adopted highways, a lot of it's on the side roads, and the kids from the school used to do a lot down East Road,
they do East Road, they do the ball field,
Marion
they
Avenue.
do, yeah.
So if we kind of branched out on one of these
Sure.
side streets.
I just wanna say that the trash haulers are doing their job to spread the garbage along the way. Already, yes.
Thanks for that
Yes.
good news, so John?
It's that time of year that we
Yes,
have to prod them to tarpo over their stuff.
Well, one of these days I'm just going to follow them.
Oh, it's been done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, right, John?
I had insulation in my driveway.
Yeah, milk Joe.
Huh? Yeah. So, did you have anything else, Katrina?
I don't think so, not unless anybody has any questions.
No? Everybody happy?
Nope.
Okay.
Hope you
Well, thank you
enjoy.
very much
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, the door is always open, so.
Thank you.
Feel free to stop by.
Thank you.
You do.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Katrina.
Bye.
Thanks.
Next we move on to old business, the museum fundraiser. Chris is working on the grant from National Grid. She was having problems because the application, for some reason, it wouldn't take our tax ID number. And they said that they could not verify our tax ID number. So I called the IRS and going back and forth. And the reason is because they cannot give that number out to any company or anybody because it's confidential information. So what they're doing is they're sending me a letter of explanation. They said it would take 7 to 10 days to get because they do not send it over the internet. They mail it hard copy. So by the end of the week, I should have it, and hopefully that will help Chris and she can move on with this grant. It won't be too late. So that's where we are with that. BTI report, Vi and Marty, they stopped in last week and said that the water was flowing so quickly that the larva really isn't getting a chance to grow and hatch at this point. So I said, so what are you telling me? This is gonna be a really good year this year? And Vi said, well, we hope so. We're still treating, but we're thinking maybe that way, so that would be good news. So,
Burn them out, flood them out, we don't care how we do it.
whatever we have to do.
Freeze them out.
Freeze them out.
So LPSA Lake Stewards, I did get a call last week from one individual, I didn't hear from her again, so I won't even say her name. So at this time, I'm going to say that they are still looking for a person for the Moffett Beach boat ramp. Community Gardens, June sent a report, the rototiller that we repaired last year wouldn't start, of course, sitting over the winter, probably gasoline, old gasoline. Anyway, so June brought her own up, they put mild line down and tilled everything in. They removed some raised beds that were no longer needed. The village went down with their backhoe and moved the railroad ties for them. There were a few repairs they are asking our highway department to do, so I have that on Randy's pile. Next, she said that the 3 gardens from last year, 3 gardeners, they're not returning, mainly because they've relocated, and one has just gotten too elderly. Right now, Jeanette Barrett, Kelly Toogood, and Barbara Huslin joined for the 2022 season. They would like to take 1 garden And actually, they'd like to designate it for the food pantries, so all food would go to that, and June is also going to encourage all gardeners to donate their extra vegetables as well. So at this time, she has 2, possibly 3 spots still open. If anyone would like to take one, just contact June.
Where did we luck out with her?
Boy, oh
We
boy.
did, she's wonderful, I try to praise
You
her.
mentioned Nancy Welch's.
No. Not that I know of, she never mentioned her. Okay, so next I'm going to bring up, I had brought up back in late March, we had a discussion on the supervisor and highway superintendent, election terms changing. And I had asked everybody to give it a little thought and that we would revisit it at a later date. I'd like to discuss it tonight, because if we decide that we all vote that we want to do this, I have to get the information to our attorney to draw up the wording for the proposition for the November ballot. We do have till August, but if it's that easy and everybody has had time to think about this, let's just move it along and get it done and not wait and then say, oops, it's almost here and we're gonna miss it. So I'd like to open it up for discussion and see how everybody feels about this. We would be changing the 2 positions to a 4-year term from a 2-year term.
I strongly suggest you keep them separate.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So have 2 separate descriptions on the ballot. The stagger I don't think is important for highway superintendent and supervisor. It is for town clerk and supervisor, because, right, Steph? If both of us were brand new this year, it would be chaos in the office, because neither one would know what to do. So those are the 2 important positions.
Can I just question Kathy?
Sure.
Do you mean
I would think for
separate
them-
resolutions or stagger the terms?
No, separate resolutions,
Okay.
separate propositions. We don't want them both to go down.
Okay.
You don't want to risk them both.
So, and it's a good point, if some people
Yeah.
don't feel that they
Very
want the
good point.
supervisor to be 4 years or the highway superintendent, they're forced to go no all the way, where this way they can vote how they want.
That's
So, okay,
what
so,
we've discussed at some length, and it's been done in county a number of times too, is the staggering part of when they're implemented. So that you don't have, these overlaps. We discussed at one point the terms of the town justices for just that reason, so that you don't end up with 2 completely inexperienced, both need to go to school judges. It happened out of necessity this last time.
And Don bailed us out.
Yeah, but that's something that, you don't think about it much until when someone goes on a medical or whatever, and then you need to fill that spot.
yeah,
Um,
but it is good, like, to have 2 board members,
Yeah,
and then 2 years later, 2 board members, and
yeah,
4 years
that's
later, 2
always
board.
been smart.
That's always good, because every 2 years you only have 2 going out, because, right, it's tough when you first come in.
It's
To
a lot,
pick up
it's
the
a
pieces.
heavy duty learning curve.
It
My
really is.
concern is not staggering of the terms, my concern is them both.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that being a motion by
So,
Councilwoman.
okay, so would you like to be the one to make that motion?
2 separate propositions to extend the term of the supervisor for 4 years, separate proposition, highway superintendent 4 years.
Changing it from 2 to 4.
Yep,
I know a couple of the other towns have changed their supervisor's terms. Have they changed the highway superintendent terms as well?
I don't know if they've done them at the same time, but over time, in my time around there, we're in the minority now within county that has both of those positions. We should have those answers for the public, not in the proposition, but so folks can know it. But I don't know.
And the research that I did said you have to do it on a year that's not an election year.
Sure, this is why it's this year is the time to do it. So that maybe there's people out there that would, it's 2 year, well, it's 4 year, maybe I'll run, that kind of thing.
absolutely.
I can assure you, I wouldn't have run for council if it was 2. Must not go president. I mean, the hardest part is
Okay.
the politicking.
Okay, so Kathy, okay, so I totally agree with you on that, and I'll make sure that the attorney draws them up separate for each one separately as 4-year term.
And we'll
So we have
review
2
what the
different.
attorney
Yep.
says. I'd like to
Yep,
second
once-
Kathy's
Neil, okay.
motion.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
I won't just add in as necessarily in the discussion, but that you did speak, preemptively, you did speak with the attorney about letting her know that if we did this, she'd be able to do the wording and so on.
no, I have not.
We haven't.
I know, I just took everything that Board of Elections told me and I brought it to you folks back in March.
Okay.
And now that you say that, now I'll
Okay, I know
contact
she
the attorney. Yeah,
But, okay.
yeah, so I'll contact her. Okay, next, the American Rescue Plan. Nancy Seitz, you wanna give the treasurer's report?
Being that it's a federal program, they made it as difficult as possible to understand how to do the report. And Betsy and I watched webinars and read up, and the manuals are like 119 pages. And so one weekend, I decided to devote it to American Rescue Plan, and I found a webinar that kind of dumbed it down for small entities. Because everything that they had given us previously was for subcontractors. I mean, we're putting the money towards a garbage truck was the plan. And they wanted subcontractors' information and minority reports and all these different layers of things. And this dumbed down version was for our size community and even larger than us, and after watching that, the first time I watched the webinar, I said, this doesn't look too bad. So then I watched it again and I took notes. Then, I guess it was the Monday, this past Monday, Betsy and I sat in her office and we watched the webinar again. And,
Well, you actually, we filled out first.
yeah,
And
we
saved
filled
it.
it out first, okay. So we watched the webinar together and we had my notes, and my notes weren't bad. So that was a good thing, because we had done it correctly. And Betsy hit the submit button and we were good to go. Apparently, the report is.
No red flags popped up?
Not yet,
Good, that's
but
good.
you know, it's never over.
But we didn't even get a confirmation or anything
Right,
yet, but
right.
we have to do it once a year, so we'll have to do it again next
Yeah.
year this time.
Oh, goody.
By then, we'll probably
Your
have
notes.
spent the money because the garbage truck might be in December, does that sound correct, guys?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And if we've spent some money, then we can do a final report and that would be.
And
Well,
then
once
we're
we
done.
spend the money, then they gotta chase us, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I do believe we have to do the report for 4 years, so after, if we spend the money this year, next year's report will be that we spent the money, the following 2 years, there'll be nothing to report. Kind of like this time, you know, it'll
Yeah.
just
Right.
basically be the same.
I believe we probably had to do the report this year to get the balance of the money that they were
I'm assuming
giving
if they
us.
hadn't had it by April, by May 1st, yes.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
so that was
Thank you, ladies.
a very exciting weekend.
Right, Nancy, but we were supposed to act shocked when she said, I finally figured it out. She's a whiz.
What?
She really is. Anyway, so it's all good.
Who was for watching a webinar 3 times?
Yeah,
Well, listen, they have had webinars every 2 weeks since they first started this. And in the beginning, I was watching every single one and printing it off and making notes. I've got a file this thick and it means nothing. Because,
Just trying to figure out how to get
Every
into
Monday-
their program is mind-boggling.
yes, but then every month they were changing it, and so we just couldn't keep up with anything.
Well, we're happy they dumbed it down for us.
Yes.
You're gonna be popping motos and you're gonna keep
Yes.
going through the road.
Yep. So, next we'll move on to new business amendment to resolution number 43. Which at the last meeting, we approved the resolution and we didn't realize that it still had said a one-time option, and it didn't mention the October 1st for the following year option.
Okay.
Do you want me to read it?
No. So the two changes had to do with October 1st, and
we took out the one-time option.
thank you.
I think you should read it, just,
I can read it, sure, okay. Amendment to resolution number 43, that is an amendment to resolution number 39, accrual benefits payback for vacation and sick time. Whereas first pay period in December, employees will be paid half of normal pay for any sick time over 360 hours and vacation time over 120 hours. Whereas the employees may otherwise lose this accrual if they are over the maximum vacation hours of 240 and sick time of 720. Whereas the employees will have the option of opting into this program or staying with the old system of no payback. This has to be done by October 1st for the following fiscal year.
Is that supposed to be lose or loose?
Who's,
There's too many O's.
where is she? Where are you?
Oh, you got it, typo here.
Oh,
LOSE.
LOSE. Yep, okay.
Where are we at? Oh, yep, see it.
Okay. She'll get it correct, she'll get that corrected. So, basically, it's what we had agreed upon, but we just overlooked it last meeting,
So
so.
moved as
I'm looking,
corrected.
okay,
I'll second.
and Dawn, okay. Any further discussion?
A couple of swings and we got it.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Something new.
Okay. Okay, so that was that. So then, next on the list, I would like to add in, I'm actually switching around a little bit here because I gave everybody accrual benefits payback for vacation and sick time, the form that we made. Did everybody have a chance to read it? See if you have any idea of any changes you want to see before we actually approve this?
This is what would be put in front of employees,
Right.
staff people for their option, and then that would go in their personnel file, right?
Yes, so yes, this will be, Randy will be handing this out to all the highway guys actually it would be September, and they have to make the decision by October 1st for the following fiscal year. And what it basically states is, I blank would like to waive my option to use the payback policy and would like to accrue my sick time and vacation time up to the full 240 hours for vacation time and 720 hours for sick time. The next option is, I blank do not want to waive my option to use my sick time and vacation time. I understand I will not be entitled to any extra compensation in lieu of the hours returned to the town. And at the very bottom it says, I understand I can amend my decision by October 1st for the following fiscal year.
There's another typo there, that's fiscal,
Where are we?
not physical, it's
Yeah,
FISCAL.
and that's on the other thing too.
Okay,
Yeah, well, the typo,
yep, we'll get
my
them fixed.
motion was as amended, but, you know. So,
Okay,
I've got a question too. Where
Done.
they're waiting to get the money, should it say when they get the money, when they get the pay?
Well, they get the money, oh, you mean to actually say by December, the first pay period in December. You're right, that would probably be a good idea.
so the top one means they're passing on the buyout, or the buyback, or the whatever you wanna call it. And they just wanna keep accumulating their hours.
Yes,
Got it. I do.
no, that is not. The top one, they would like to waive my option to use the payback policy and would like to accrue my sick time and vacation time up to the, oh, yes, you are correct. You are correct. So then the bottom one here, we're going to do, I do not want to waive my option, so they want their time, and then it should say, underneath that one,
It's not a bad idea to add that, it's gonna
I
be,
agree.
it's gonna be in the personnel policy, but, you know, why not double dip, particularly if they're gonna be given a copy of this.
So the payback will occur during the first.
Betsy, do you have an extra copy of that?
Yes, I do at the office, I don't
Okay.
here, I'm
All
sorry.
right, yeah, I was gonna say, I don't have that one.
I'm gonna have to change that anyway tomorrow
Right.
to fix
It's okay.
these spellings and add this in. So on the bottom, it will say, I understand I can amend my decision by October 1st for the following fiscal year. This extra pay will be paid the first period in December. Right? That sound good enough?
That's all.
Okay.
This is an internal document.
Yeah.
If they're gonna get a copy of it, it's nice that they can
Mhm.
take it out as well.
So I guess at this point, I know it's not on the agenda, but anything else you guys think we should be adding?
So, one of the things is that, so this is gonna, every year,
Every year they'll have to fill one of these out, whether they want to opt in or opt out.
It's just like health insurance, it's sort of a once a year time
I love
to,
it.
to approach your,
Then they can evaluate how it affected them that year and
Right, and
if
they
their
can change their
situations
mind.
change.
Yep,
Got it.
okay. Okay, so then I am looking for a motion
for that
to move it.
piece.
Yep.
So,
A second? Okay. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, any opposed?
This resolution.
now we're
Okay.
at the,
So now we're at resolution number 44. Revising resolution number 44, the town of Lake Pleasant will omit one HEO position. Okay, so first I want to explain and then I will go ahead and the thing was is when we passed this, at the time we approved this resolution, there was a step on January 7th that was overlooked. So this changed the pay increase from $2.10 to $2.20 an hour. So, whereas that hourly rate will be divided among the other existing positions, whereas said increase will increase hourly rates of existing positions by $2.10 an hour, whereas this increase in pay will start April 12th of 2022. Whereas there was a step on January 7th, 2022 paid to the HEO's position that caused a miscalculation. Be it resolved that the change will increase hourly rates of existing positions by $2.20 an hour starting April 12th, 2022.
so this is housekeeping,
Yeah,
and I so move.
okay, so that's Neil
I'll second.
and Dawn. Any further discussion?
You should pass it before it goes up again.
Actually, the county picked up on this. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that's done, okay. Next, landfill post-closure. Okay, I received a letter from the Adirondack Landfill Services, and I'm just gonna read this one paragraph. I have prepared the enclosed agreement to continue post-closure sampling and inspection at your facility. Total cost for 2022 will be $2,197. This is an increase of $165 above last year's price and reflects an increase in laboratory costs for the first time in 6 years. Adirondack Landfill Services fees for sampling and report preparation remain the same. So this is just like an FYI, so when we're budgeting, we'll take care of that. Okay, the next thing is I picked up a tax exempt application from Walmart, and I guess I'm asking for the board's approval to fill it out. So this way, when we want to purchase cleaning supplies for the library, the clinic, or town hall, we can go there and buy the supplies wherever they're cheaper, whether it's there or BJ's, wherever.
Does it have an account?
It's just to have, yeah, it's just to have this on file so that if Randy goes or if I borrow the town credit card and I go,
I believe you can also create a tax exempt account online.
maybe you can.
And you will
The
be,
county
and
has
Girlfriend.
you will be able to help on that.
Yeah, you'll be able to find pictures on the phone.
So you mean I could just go online to theirs?
Yeah, you
and
have all
just-
your information and your tax exempt certificate or whatever.
Okay,
Laura Abrams might be able to help you with that.
Absolutely.
The supervisor's office has an account.
okay. Okay,
That's just
so
without-
everybody's comfortable with that, no concerns?
Without objection.
Take care of that.
Does the town have a, like a place where they keep things that all entities and buildings can take from?
Well, Anita does that. What we do is, the last time we bought in bulk, like toilet paper and paper towels and stuff, Anita took what she needed for the library and put it there in a closet. She brought for here and town hall. She has them separate so that
Primary care.
when it starts getting low,
Somebody orders. no?
then she's gonna let us know, and that's when we're gonna order, but that's why I kinda wanted to get everything in line, so we have,
Because
we're ready.
the school has like a closet,
Mhm.
and what they do is they order things that everybody uses, like pencils, eraser caps,
Mhm.
construction paper, copy paper, you know, those kinds of things. And it's and then people just say, I need this, and you get it.
There's
And then it's
a
just.
supply closet.
Well, it's more than that, there's a supply list that says, you know, if you need staples, if you need whatever, so that you can buy
Mhm.
on bulk.
For sure.
yeah.
But I didn't know, cause I know, you know,
It's a big difference. We didn't always.
okay,
It used to be departments were doing their own things, and then
Right.
eventually, you know, the boards would figure out there were, you know, I get that cheaper at home, or, you know, I go to whatever.
so like Post-it notes or things like that, does that exist already with the town?
Yes, when we need that stuff, Faith orders that stuff.
Huh.
Paper
And
products,
so the health center or the library can come
they
get
all
that
get,
stuff?
no, this is just
Ah.
town, that's out of your budget for like
Those
the
are
library.
different budgets.
Yeah, different
Got it.
budgets, yeah.
But
So,
You've got
go ahead, Nancy.
a budget officer there.
my thought is, the library budget comes from the town budget, I mean, it's a part and parcel, so if, primary care is different, because Nathan Latour pays for those
Right.
items, but the library is a department, so to speak, of the town.
Well, I'm glad Karen isn't here.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
Boy,
but,
she would
No,
stand
but-
right up. We are not a department of the town.
no, but
I've only
as,
heard that a million times.
but as, to me, it makes more sense to.
Way more sense.
To have, instead of Sherry going to Charlie John's and buying a pack of Post-it notes, that if they're Post-it notes, they are stamps. That's another thing. We buy stamps for the highway department, for all the other departments,
Just saying,
and the library buys their own
you
stamps.
two ladies are board members of the library. But I'll just go on record here. Wasn't just a point of order, a vehement screeching stop. Said, no, we're not a department of the town. And we are, you know, and then you get quoted the ed law and everything else, which is why it was constructed that way. I mean, you were there in the town. This was sort of the Rubicon. We'll budget everything, and we'll tell you what we need for you to support the library. I was for the other, it seemed more seamless, but not when certain folks were.
Yeah, there's a difference between content and collection and things that are a separate entity versus office supplies, I guess, is what.
Oh, no, I know the difference.
Yeah.
I'm saying
Definitely.
it's control.
Well,
is what
she
we're
just
talking
said
about
it.
here.
Kathy just said it. I mean, you're gonna have certain departments, like the court has to order safety paper and legal folders. And that's not gonna be in another department, it'll only be in the courts department. But Post-it notes and paper, everyone's gonna need.
But the expense here is stamps. This is where you have to make this distinction. I don't care where it comes out of, because I know where it could eventually come out of, taxpayers. The difference is, before you folks go too much further, I would have one more library meeting there, because this was not the way it was presented to this board.
I guess the only thing, like stamps.
Mhm.
You remember how I would go absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
stamps are gonna go up at a certain time. clear out the stamp line and buy it now,
Buy it.
because
Yeah,
there's
that's what
free
we did.
I
stamps.
agree.
And we do that every,
Seems every couple of years,
Mhm.
because
every
they go
couple
from
of years.
35 now to 55 now to what?
Right, now they're 58.
Right.
And so if the library doesn't hop in on something like that, I don't know how many stamps, she probably doesn't use that many,
Well,
because.
not like we do a town hall, I'm sure, but.
So I
But,
kind of feel like Sherry should take care of what they need here. It's just how many employees compared to the town where Faith is trying to order for Stephanie and for myself and for the building
Yeah.
inspector and for
I was just
the
looking for,
assessor and
Just
for
trying to figure out a way
Randy.
I
to
opened a
save a
can of worms
couple of
with one of my
dollars.
questions.
I'm sorry.
Not necessarily,
No,
I just kind of feel like that, I feel like that should be Sherry's responsibility as we take the responsibility on a town hall. I think it's gonna be too difficult.
Okay, and then it would be one more, it'd be another job for somebody to do to keep track of everything. Who took the
Well-
last box of Post-its?
Or
Okay.
not, or she can say, the next time you're ordering something, could you get me a package of Post-it notes?
I once again suggest
Yeah.
that this be brought up
We
in
can bring that
library
up at
meeting
library.
and then a request pen to the town.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
I don't think this is, okay.
No, I
Say
just,
it again.
and nice questions. but
Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, don't be
No,
sorry.
I agree with you, yeah.
Okay.
That's-
I used to have hair before.
Okay, so next we're gonna move to committee meeting.
Who?
that burned up.
Yep, and, so, we're gonna start with you two gals, because I know you had a busy afternoon.
As a youth committee meeting, we met with our sole applicant for the aide job, Caitlin Worley, and sat down with her and spoke about the responsibilities of the job and made sure that it was something she was interested in and up for, and she seems like she's gonna be a pretty good fit for the job, so.
Cool. That's good news.
That's very good news. Yeah. So, I guess you girls are looking for a motion?
Yes, please.
Don't move. Lord, just stop.
Yeah, no second.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so that was Neil moved it.
When would you be looking to kick that person in June?
The first trip or the first day is July 11th.
July, okay.
So she'll mostly be doing Mondays and Tuesdays with the youth rec. Mondays crafted.
Samantha met with us probably a month ago now and showed us her ideas for the summer. We jostled around some other ideas, gave her some thoughts. Basically, the program's gonna be Mondays craft and playground day. Tuesday is going to be the younger kids' trips, which will, and then the older kids will be hooked up with trailblazers.
Super. Great. Well, thanks for all your work, girls. You weren't home much tonight, were you? From one meeting to another. Anything else? No? Neil, anything?
I would just report that Randy had a prospect that you already mentioned has been hired. Don and I and Randy were to meet 7 a.m. on Tuesday last, and Don and Randy met as Neil was a victim of a terrible power outage and was tending to Kevin and going along and everything in black because they'd run out of gas. And all of a sudden, like, oh my God, my cell phone still had some juice. So I called Randy about 8:15. I said, how'd the meeting go? It was a 7 a.m. meeting. But I at least, and I think he also knew the applicant pretty well, and
Oh, good.
that one went fun.
Good.
So,
Yeah.
now you can talk about your meeting, since I haven't met.
Well, we met and interviewed, there's not much to say about it, he seemed like a good pick. He seems like he wants to do it, he said he doesn't care what he does.
This is a labor position?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
So
is.
it doesn't hold a CDL?
He's really way overqualified, but he's another one of the folks that sometimes fall in our lap. Years ago, it was Andy, who just didn't want to travel out of town, he was driving every day to,
Yeah.
just outside Lake Placid to
Yeah,
work. But he's a finished carpenter, he's a talented guy.
Very talented guy, very positive, willing to do anything. He'll start on, he knows he's gotta start on the back of the truck. So, I couldn't see any reason to say no.
Nice. Well,
That's all I have.
you're welcome.
And the highway, that's really all
yeah,
we had some other stuff, but it's already been sort of covered.
yeah.
Yeah, the tree and.
Right, exactly.
Anything for committee and no committee?
I'm on the tree in the graveyard, you know. I'll tell Randy, get on it. Cemetery committee, you know.
We'll be thrilled about that one.
Oh,
I haven't even seen it.
Cemetery committee too, and I know that.
So,
Yeah.
next is roundtable, and I'm gonna actually start it with Steph,
Oh, okay.
because she wanted to speak on some stuff.
I did bring the collection schedule. I don't know if you guys have seen it at the post office with Stephanie at both of the post offices. And the newspaper actually reached out to me and said that it was in the Memorial Week newspaper in years past. So I said, go ahead and put it in again then. So they've got this year's and they're gonna put it in. And let's see. Now, I was mentioning to Betsy earlier today, I have had a lot of the C&Ds, the bills for C&Ds have gotten paid for. Some of them haven't, and I have some hanging on since February that contractors have not paid for. So I'm asking the
Construction
board.
demolition permits.
Yes.
Right.
Well, no, this is loads to the dump.
Loads,
And they
yeah,
get
that's-
billed,
Fees.
there's a mathematical equation, and then they pay, you know, that figure that we come up with. So I'm asking you all, do you want a second notice to go out? Just
That's what
do it.
we've
I don't
done
know
in the
that you
past.
can do any fee, and you know, any, what do you call it, like late fees or anything
Do you
like
know what
that, but.
Debbie did?
No,
You know,
other than
she's-
bug them to a little bit, but not too much, yeah.
Well, I know that a second,
Just
from
a
old
second
memory,
notice maybe?
Second notice has been sent in the past for
Okay.
folks. Yeah, because after that, then it would really come to this table and it gets, you know, nasty.
Yeah.
There's no reason for this, including, you know, that's your last C&D, it's a permit that you have to give, it has a
Right.
fee to it. And no one wants that, particularly contractors.
Right. The other thing is, we're working with the town historian and the county historian to reach out to, preservation of some old stuff that was damaged during a fire a long time ago, and our historian found it and said that we need to figure out how we actually can mess with this to try to get it preserved. So, we're working with Ernie and Aaron, and we've got some numbers and contacts, so.
Where is the stuff you're currently, where,
It's in the clerk's office in the vault,
it's in Europe?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Call the New York State Archives.
We did, that's our next step, anyway.
They're the
That's what we're working
experts
on. Yeah,
on preservation
If you're
and
looking for
Right.
what it entails, how much it would cost, and so on and so on, to bring
Right.
this stuff back to life.
and they do a grant on a yearly basis. We've just missed the window, so it wouldn't be until next January, February that the training occurs, so that you can go through the training to learn how to do their grant process successfully.
okay,
So you
And
have
then-
these paper items?
yes,
Okay, so the documents.
right,
Okay.
yep. Yeah, so we're not touching them for now. They're just gonna sit there and wait until we are told how to handle them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you wanna mention anything about your training?
Oh, yes, I did go to the clerks, conference, the NISTICA conference. It was very beneficial, learned a lot. I took the notary class. I've got to go take the test when I'm ready, but there's a lot of legal terms, so I'm gonna take my time and study everything. And of course, I can take it over and over again, but, I can take it down to Albany or Utica. There's some walk-in places or appointment places that I can take that at. But yeah, it was great networking there. I did win that scholarship of $600 and some odd dollars, and only 10 of us got it out of, I don't know how many applied, but there were 100 new clerks at that conference alone. But they had missed 2 years of it.
Yeah, there you go.
They had missed 2 years.
Okay.
And some of these clerks are so old, I shouldn't say old, but they've been doing this
How
so
old are
long,
they?
they're still working out at their homes. There was a gal, I believe
It's gonna be you
she was in her 70s. She said she was gonna do it until her kids told her she had to stop, so
Good.
it was,
I mean, nothing wrong with it, as long as she's okey-dokey and,
Sure.
and physically and mentally do it, well, why not?
and I got to see the state building, and I have to say I was very impressed. If you haven't been there, you should just go for a tour.
Which building did you?
The Capitol building,
Gotcha.
I've only been in a couple of Capitol buildings before, and that one definitely was very impressive. Very impressive.
New York has a lot of good things. The jails aren't that great, but the Capitol building's quite nice.
How many from inside or outside,
Pass through both.
Anything else, Steph?
That's it.
That's it, okay. Okay. Kathy, anything for roundtable?
No, Neil stepped on my toes.
He does that a lot.
Yeah.
Why don't you, let's give a round, why don't you start a round of
Big
applause
feet,
for
those are
Paul?
all.
Paul, please. There we go.
How about you, Michelle?
Just to tack onto the state building thing, next Monday as my county responsibilities, I will be attending Adirondack Day at the LOB, to kind of hand out a little bit of tourism information for the area, so,
Nice.
Nice.
to our
Also good.
politicians, yeah.
Good event.
As long as it happens. They had to cancel all of the events this week. I know that the COVID numbers in Albany are through the roof right now.
But not around here. Things are good here, COVID numbers
I
are
haven't
staying
heard
around here.
anything, yeah.
Well, here's the problem, they're false numbers, because people are home testing and
Reporting is
not reporting,
closed.
so you don't really know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you should be okay to wear a mask according to science.
True.
Okay, let's move on.
Penn State.
Neil, anything for roundtable?
No, Kathy's going.
Okay.
Two things. One was I'd like to see if we could work on getting the information out when there is an emergency like we had with the power out.
Why
and
don't you
snowstorm.
explain to everybody like what we were discussing before the meeting? I
Oh,
think
well,
it'd be good.
yeah. We had the electric off, the 16 inches of heavy wet snow. And an emergency was declared by the county, but nobody knew about it. And also the road was closed between Speculator and Wells for quite some time because the state couldn't get it plowed. And none of this information was disseminated to people that should know it, the people in the community. If you absolutely had to get out of town and you got halfway to Wells and the road's closed, there you sit, and what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And I just think there should be a better way, and I think we gotta work on it, to get the information out from below county level to the towns.
Yeah, from county to the towns.
To the town.
And each town
To the individual.
taking over their best dissemination.
Whether it's through social media or.
Our Facebook, you
That's
mentioned.
right, and I saw through secondhand sources that Indian Lake was starting to mention dry ice being distributed, and there's no way to inform people that this is going on.
Yeah, the two things that we,
Yeah.
galvanized that was obviously, if a state highway is closed going either way, that's something that's gotta get out there. And the other one, of course, is what do we have locally for, dry ice for whomever, but what's open for us, like the Lake Pleasant Fire Company was trying to get the word out to folks that they had some heat on and you could make coffee, et cetera.
And they've got generators that they can bring around.
And, right, and you can, in a real pinch, you can bring a generator to folks. Mainly, it's the efforts of sometimes being there, but the word getting out to those in need can get sketchy during that time. Particularly when it gets that bad that, like in my case anyway, cell phones go out, and it wasn't too long ago the last go around, it was landlines went out as well.
Right.
We lost landline.
Did you? Yeah, there you go, so.
Yeah, we had no landline, but we did have cell and Wi-Fi. That's one of the first things that gets hooked up.
So we just need to address those.
So
That's
we,
because you have a generator, but how many people didn't have a generator that needed someplace to go and didn't know where to go?
Right, and how do you get that clarion call out? Rochelle asked a good question just before we started, of the supervisor. What's the status of our list, you know, those folks to call or look in on or whatever. So we just have to brush them up. These things, particularly the ones that catch all the way up the chain seemingly with their pants down, time to, you know, what they used to call tabletop. You know, have a tabletop emergency meeting.
Yeah, and the county with their personnel was definitely not prepared for it.
So we
Absolutely.
have.
No excuse.
Yeah, so we have an emergency management meeting tomorrow morning at 9 up at the county to start working on this and discuss and try to get a plan together.
Right.
So I will definitely bring up the concerns that were brought here tonight.
Yeah.
How many months was the new lady who's taken over?
Jill just started in January.
That's what I thought. So I mean, she's
She's
ready.
already got
Wasn't there a
something.
plan in
What?
place already?
What was that?
Wasn't there a plan in place before she stepped?
There should be a book.
There
is a book.
was, and it wasn't that at all. It was the roads, nobody knew, everybody was broke down and the towns were trying to pick up for help the state because they had a lot of issues, and then the county was trying to, because the road wasn't even plowed from here up to Indian Lake. The road wasn't plowed from Speculator down to Wells, down all the way. There was a lot of, I mean, Randy plowed from the inn at Speculator to the corner. Eddie had the plow truck going the other way, and there was a wire under the snow, and he got it caught up in the truck.
Yeah.
Thank God it was just the telephone wire, and Randy told him, cut it and throw it off to the side and continue plowing, but I think it just caught everybody, even though they were calling for it, it was happening so fast that
Yeah, overnight. It was.
Overnight,
it
and
was, but at the same time, we need to get our act together, that when you call, everybody was on vacation at the same time. You know, and everybody, don't get me wrong, everybody deserves a vacation. Everybody is entitled. Everybody works hard for that. But at the same time, we can't all be away at the same time because of situations like this. And this was already addressed last week at our meeting, and I'm sure this is coming up tomorrow again. So
Vacation.
we will definitely work on this, and I'll bring information back to the board here so that we can start the town making a better plan than what we have.
any of these worst case scenarios, and there was a lot of worst case scenario in that, have to be studied and tabletopped and,
Yeah.
and
Really, the most damage was Wells, Hope, Benson, and Long Lake. We were fairly lucky here, except for the roads not being plowed, but we were fairly lucky. What else, Don?
The other thing was, Stephanie mentioned the C&D permits. We discussed it a while back, and with cleanup day coming up, can we put just a copy of the paragraph of the law on contractors' trucks being covered?
I know you and Bob were working on that. Did you ever get Bob the copy of the law? I thought he said you didn't
No, you
get
can
it.
get it right off the internet. It tells you how to cover and what has to be covered, and
Would you go online and get that?
Yeah.
If you get that for us, then we can make copies, Steph, when you send
Yeah.
out the permits?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
just a reminder
They
that
go with
they
the
all know,
permits.
and there's no excuse. Because
Yeah.
if you live along our section of the road, you see it every day.
And tack it up in all of the highway departments too, who are carrying uncompressed garbage and recyclables that aren't tarped.
I follow the inlet truck from my house up to, Florence and I were gonna ride around Perkins Clearing. And about every 2 minutes, a can would come out the back of it and just go, whenever he got over 55 miles an hour, a can would come out.
What was the
And so
tipping
he was
fees?
taking the cans up to inlet?
No, I think he had brought some of the load down and what had not come out of the truck. See, that's what they do, they cover their trucks for the trip up. And they dump, then they don't cover on the way back, and then the wind blows anything that's stuck in the back.
Right, any paper things, but
Yeah.
obviously can't.
If it's wet,
Tires.
it'll stay.
Yeah,
tires.
I know last year we
Yeah,
did work with them on that. And then we also had another
And they
group
were
in town,
supposed to hand them out, I think.
yeah. So if you can get that for Steph, then
Yeah.
we can make copies and get them in, that will help.
Sounds good.
Anything else, Tom?
Nope.
Neil,
No,
and you? No?
no, you weren't by me, Kathy took over.
No? Okay,
Yeah, I was last.
We had jumped to a
okay.
couple of spots, right, you know.
Okay, couple things. I contacted Joe Palone from National Grid to see when we are scheduled for our streetlights. His answer was the program will be starting up shortly now that spring is here, that we've had 2 big storms that have stalled it out.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
Round table. I talked to an employee of National Grid, a lineman, yesterday. And I have nothing but good to say about them because he was working 16-hour shifts
They do a great job on this.
while working on the power. And he does not live locally, but this is his area, so he didn't get a whole lot of sleep, but they do their work. It's not these guys.
Our biggest problem is having lost a local crew.
Yeah.
You know, that.
Well, we also,
that-
they
that'll
had
never-
a certain number of power trucks designated for this area. And then reassigned them and sent all of them to Fulton County, which is why there was such a delay.
Yeah.
Our
And there was
power-
64 for Hamilton County.
Yeah.
Because Jill said that she couldn't find them, where were they? She got in the vehicle and started chasing them down.
But you gotta understand, as a storm develops and the power outages occur, they've gotta redeploy
Yeah,
Yeah.
their stuff.
but I mean, their work in general is laudable. My parenthetical thing is that when we had a crew that was housed here and they all lived here, we got to jump on things sometime.
Yeah, half hour the truck would be
Yeah,
there.
there were poles, they didn't have to send Albany for poles, they were
National
checked.
Grid does a lot of sort of big board things with computers and brings them from Canada and from other states and so on, so they're not familiar. But all in all, I thought they did a good job for
Yeah.
what they were faced with.
But again, with that little power outages too, now they have to send somebody up, the supervisor up to check out what's wrong.
Oh, it's an hour before they
And
even know the pole.
then they
Yeah.
get the crew together, so
Yeah.
that's, again, it would be nice to have somebody local.
Okay, I had a meeting with Pauline Slack from the Senior Center, and we put together the first quarterly report for the Warren County Office of the Aging. We were contacted back and said that was just what they were looking for to have in the records. I've also been working with the well supervisor, trying to plan more for our seniors in the future. Chambers membership dinner is Thursday the 26th at the Rundequoit Inn, which Katrina just spoke about. I was wondering if there was another board member that would like to attend with me. I'll pay for your dinner. I just thought it'd be nice if we had representation from the town. Anybody would like to go with me?
You said it was,
More than
Would you?
happy to do that.
Would you?
that's a great idea.
Thank you, okay? I'll register us, Michelle, thank you.
You definitely don't need to pay for my dinner.
Okay, I want to. Okay, I received a call from a taxpayer saying, from what they understood, Lake Pleasant's highway crews were outstanding with the snowstorm last week. They deserve a sincere, well done from the taxpayers. They understood that the state DOT was having equipment issues and the town and the county crews jumped in to help. Also, the same day, got a big thank you from Jill Dunham, the County Emergency Management Department head, and she said the town of Lake Pleasant Highways always does a great job maintaining their roads and always jumps in when help is needed. And she really wanted the guys to know that.
Absolutely.
Yes. Our next senior bus trip is scheduled for Wednesday, May 18th, and going to Sagertown Mall in Utica. The bus leaves at 9 a.m. sharp and will return between 3:15 and 3:30. Any Wells seniors or Paseco seniors that want to go, as long as they register ahead of time, they have to drive to the community center here in Speculator to go. Pauline and I talked about the Wells seniors riding the bus, and we have agreed the bus would stop in Wells on the way back down 4 trips. So they come up to Speculator, pick up the seniors, on their way down they'd stop in Wells, and this would be for the trips to Saratoga, Glens Falls, and Albany. And then on the way back up, the bus would drop the Wells people off first, and then come on up to Speculator. For the Utica trip, they have to drive up to Speculator and go from there. So we seem to be working out all that stuff very well. John Foley has been working at Town Hall on the landscaping, and he figures by Mother's Day there will be flowers around the flagpole.
Yeah.
No friend.
Yep. The next thing is the Lake Pleasant Library now has a new address. It's a P.O. Box 579 in Speculator. So it will no longer be out on the main road here, just so that everybody make a note of that.
Didn't we have one before and then we got the,
I don't know what the library, Nancy, do you know, or
Right.
Kathy?
I haven't heard anything about
No,
this.
it always came through the regular town mail,
Okay,
the 799.
okay, so now they've got a box in Speculator.
Wow. We
Huh.
almost-
Anyhow, moving right along.
Surprise.
Not saying for.
Oh, I had someone stop in town hall today, and I have to bring this up. They were coming through town, they're not from the area. They stopped down at the firehouse in Speculator there and used the restroom, and they said the facilities were unbelievably clean, really, really nice. So I have to say, I told them it was not the town, it was the village, but I would relay the message to the village. They said it's really welcoming for someone from the out of the area to come in and really have something so nice like that. So our next meeting will be on Monday, May 16th. Well,
you know, you still haven't,
no, I skipped
I
them.
know, but I was looking for a spot to,
Yeah, just speak right
grab
up
you.
there.
Well, you were rolling.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to pay the bills. We have two abstracts, one from April 25th and the other from April 29th. We'll do them together. So I'm looking for a motion to move them. Okay, a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Did we get that 58 cents?
Yeah, no, it was, only part of the bill was circled.
Oh.
Only one.
And it was
on
just the
bill.
envelope, so somebody else ordered it, because I was looking and I'm like, we don't pay tax and all of these things, and it was just one part of that bill was circled, plus the stamp stapled together equaled.
The library, not us stuff.
Oh, I'm confused.
No, it's
Which
the
one was
it's the
that?
library that Sherry broke.
Okay.
Okay.
So any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next is public comment. Paul, speak right up.
So I think I did my total, but I'm gonna bail Kathy out a little bit here. On her disturbance. But just to share my past experience with other town boards where I've lived before, this town is unique and it does not have a procurement officer or a procurement department, right? So I've been in knowing a lot of the different town officials over the years and highways, supervisors and towns. The one thing that I was always kind of, I don't want to say amused by, but concerned about actually really, right, was the fact that everyone's doing their own buying and there was no collective buying. And my father-in-law, the only reason it struck a note is my father-in-law down in Portland, where I used to live in Westchester, he was the procurement officer for the town of Portland. And everyone in the town, highway, sanitation, administration, everyone went through his department to buy things. And he understood all the state protocols, all the, best practices. Now, he wasn't naive. He went to the highway guys to ask about plow trucks, and he went to the sanitation department to ask about what they needed and and the parks and rec. But you had somebody who was governing everything equally, right? And it worked very well, only because, people didn't have to do it themselves anymore, right? They would just put in their requisition and they would get it. It wasn't like they were having to, yes, there was some justification, why do
Things are already budgeted.
why do you need 6 colors of Post-its when I get just the yellow ones for a quarter the price, that kind of thing, right? But anyway, so that was just something to throw out there. If it gets to be more discussion, Kathy, about that, you might want to think about just designating a person who does the buying for everybody.
Yeah,
It's most common.
past history, it's very uncommon where you now live.
I know.
And this county, just because that's about a $70,000 a year person that we can't afford. But to the bigger point, Nancy was the ersatz person before, who people came to for a lot of these things, because she was more or less the controller. And then things that need to be, run with the supervisor, but department heads would do that. And one of the great things we've done in the last couple of years is streamline our local government for a lot of HR and for all the payroll and so on by going on with county. One of the things that is
Yeah, I
falling
heard
through
that.
the cracks, yeah, it's great, I mean, I'm a big fan. I didn't even know, I was up in county for a number of years, I didn't even know that county would do that much. So.
I will debate you someday at the post office on the 70,000 a year when
Well, no,
when Nancy was able to handle all of
could
it.
be half of that.
I'm not arguing with you, I'm joking with you.
No, past history is that when we lost Nancy, few things did, I think, fall through the cracks, and that's one of them. Is that there is a little more free agent now, because no one knows, does anyone have to have, put a stamp on my forehead before I can go and do
I
this?
think what we do, I agree with you, right, it could be another expense, it could be another opportunity to fill out the town government and make it a little more efficient, to save money in procurement, pays for that official, perhaps, something to think about, right, in the long term. The other thing was, going all the way back to the beginning, you were having that discussion about the trees, so, I mean, you know the two that I had in front of my place here, or maybe you don't, they were two monsters.
The
Cut.
Viking gate on?
Yes,
Okay.
that I cut just before I sold the property.
I didn't,
Because I didn't want to hear about it falling after I left, you know what I mean? That was after I had actually had 2 or 3 others, one big one fall between me and Alfieri's, and it got hit by lightning. We were in the living room, my whole family, my children, and my father, and it hit by lightning, and it did one of these, like sideways, so that the middle of the tree fell where the stump was. One half went this way, one half, it was, God's blessing, right? On that
Yes,
one,
sir.
right? And after that, I said, I'm taking it down before they fall over the road, or God knows what that's gonna cost. To myself, I said, God knows what that's gonna cost if the highway department has to come and clean that up. It wasn't that bad. Now, I'm not advocating we cut the tree for any residents, but all I was gonna say was, I think you should walk away from it as fast as you can after you are absolutely sure you have no liability, right? And if you think or doubt you have liability, my suggestion would be, you may wanna look at it a little differently.
Well,
It sounds like you're convinced you don't, and you don't
Well,
have to explain to me, but.
the highway people are convinced that it's not, again, that's a whole different
It's tricky
track.
bits.
Liability's got nothing to do with what we were talking about.
I know.
But I'll
That's why I brought
circle
it
back
up.
to that, in that that's exactly why we should be very, very cautious about accepting, oh yeah, well, it looks like it might be close to it,
I
because
don't disagree with you for a minute
once,
there.
once the town decides to start saying that, well, because we might be liable, the trouble is, there are hundreds, more like probably thousands of these on those sort of indivisible things. My thing to a taxpayer is, if you feel that it's a danger, and, you have to talk to your neighbors about establishing whether you own it or not, then feel free to take it down in concert with the town. I would hope that, say, this taxpayer, whom I don't know, was to take this down. I would hope that he would let the town highway department know what day they were gonna do that and work with them, because it's gonna fall on the road, or some part of it. It should be a cooperative thing. It's just, this is a particular track used by folks. The minute they see something that looks like, boy, that's gonna be expensive,
See,
let's say
speaking
this
to
is
somebody who's been
right
down
on
that road before, and I took the decision not to go the route of getting somebody else to take responsibility. for
You're talking
something.
about
With all
neighbors.
practically purposes was on my right of way. I looked at the law about the center of the road, and it's a state highway, and it was different, and I could have made an argument for, believe it or not, for one of the two, and they were like this,
Right.
okay? So,
But what will happen in those cases?
But my decision was, I could afford to take it down, I was blessed enough that I could.
You're
So I
smart.
took it down, I didn't involve anybody else, and it was done, right? And for the reason was, I just took, I didn't want the liability for it. So all I meant to bring up here was, when I heard the conversation, you're spot on, Neil, I didn't hear anybody say anything about liability, and I just wanna make sure the town makes sure in these scenarios, that golf course road area, you all know better than I do, that's a gold mine of trees that could get taken down by the town or the resident. I mean, they're all 100-footers along the whole.
Couldn't agree more.
road, every one of them, right? And it could become a nightmare, but I just wanted to be sure we didn't, as the town, leave something behind that we should have took responsibility for, so. Sounds like you guys are pretty sure.
That's what, you look at it about, but keeping in mind that liability, I've dealt with dozens of insurance brokers.
More than me for sure.
Well, for myself, but for the village and for the town. They are very reluctant for municipalities to use the word or look for any acceptance of of an act of God, which is what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Because if you do, you have opened up the gates of hell. quite
Well,
frankly.
yeah, for everybody to come in and say, take my trees down. I get it.
Well, no, not just take my trees down,
And so
but
you-
every single tree that comes down, that goes across, that hits your dog or my boat or what, then becomes the town, because it's easier to assign deeper pockets than it is to your neighbor.
Really deeper.
So this is a really difficult, deep morass that you can get into on trees anywhere near a street. The state, as you point out, with a 50-foot right of ways,
Yeah.
they'd be the first one who'd say, well, we'll talk to the power company, we'll talk to Asplund, we'll talk to this and that, because it's really more about what might bring down a power line, right? In this case, the taxpayer talking about, well, and there's a lot more children around here. These are all rabbit holes that I
So I
appreciate
didn't
your
mean to,
position.
and I didn't mean to break the big
No,
long
no.
conversation out of it, because I looked when I was getting late. I got one more thing,
Go right
I
ahead.
promise. You asked for input.
Go ahead.
I've been quiet for months.
Let's make it up for me.
Yeah, all at once, right? No, you were talking about communication, so, I mean, obviously, you know, my wife works at the health department, and she was in the middle of that, whole thing with the communication and whether I can get her out of the driveway to work and all this good stuff, right? The only thing I thought of was, when you were talking about the hard part of communication, there's no phone, there's no cellular, there's no electric or whatever, but there are people out and about, at least in our area, in our town, you know, Randy was able to get things cleaned up, right? And this building has a generator, correct?
Yeah, all town buildings do.
Right,
Yeah.
and all I thought of, popped into my head was, and unfortunately, they're all within about a mile of each other, right? But there's electric signs out front that are programmable, very easily, I know they're programmable. Someone sets them up and changes them regularly, right? The generator's running here, and this is even though it's not a town department, it's a town
Oh,
powered
this is a town
property.
property.
Town powered property.
It's a town
Right,
property.
if somebody is, if Jill's able to chase the, whatever trucks down, maybe just suggest to her that she open the library and program the sign. If you need heat, go here, if you need food, go there. And same thing with, I'm sure Rick would be willing to put something up on a sign, or John, but they're all in the same
That's good.
200-foot radius.
The only part I'll take issue with is the easy. Apparently it's not, because we've,
Well,
for you it would.
the point is, if you have an
No, it
emergency
could be
preparedness
done.
person, right,
That's right.
I know Jill, so
It could
Jill,
be
for
done.
her it'd be easy if she had to come and do it even, right? You just-
Well, anybody goes by, at least you've gotten those eyeballs on it.
And then you'll get yelled at the next day, because nobody will know how to put it back.
That's
Or it was
right,
before.
that's right.
True that, but still.
But, I'm getting a softer and softer spot every year for the old people in this community as I become one. And that's just something where somebody could drive by, and that's really all you need to start the word of mouth.
We could do that for any social media, because anybody that's got a computer.
Well, if you've
Or-
got
That's not
the
gonna
power, this is
But
more of a drive-by.
Yeah,
right?
anybody that's got a generator though, that finds out this stuff,
Could broadcast it.
could broadcast it.
If somebody can
Same
receive
thing,
it, that's
word of
always
mouth.
been the problem, is the phone. The other thing I thought about was, I know, like, my wife has a CB in the car, she knows how to push the button and go breaker, right, and somebody answers, right, when she's in the ditch, right? And the point is, if you can get enough people, I mean, I don't know that they're used, I've never heard hers go off, right? Unless you're monitoring the channel that you guys on the highway used to monitor, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, just, again, if you get enough, this community is small enough and close enough that if you found out, would you not go down the road even to the two neighbors you had that were old and just say, are you okay?
Yeah, good neighbors, good neighbors.
We used to have a list, didn't we? I don't wanna go.
I do have a list.
We'll save that for another night, but.
We do.
I know Lake Pleasant, I think, is one of the ones that still maintains it, right?
Yeah.
So,
Try to.
that helps too.
Yeah.
I'm done now. Thank
Okay,
you for the
Thank you.
Thank you.
opportunity to save you.
thank you. Okay, so like I said before, our next meeting will be on Monday, May 16th. We will now be going into executive session to discuss medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person, corporation, or matters leading to a said dismissal, removal, promotion, appointment, employment, discipline, demotion, or suspension. So I'm looking for a motion to leave the regular meeting and go into executive session.
So,
Neil, a second?
Second.
Okay.
so Rochelle.
Who was
Michelle,
second?
okay.
Rochelle,
Thank
okay.
you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Is one of those Gary's?
Good night.
Thanks, Paul.
Yes, I